installation. So this is a stone that it's been used as a hammer stone, and the corners have chipped. And I also use this stone for the anvil for bipolar flaking. And so first, this stone I set on the ground, and it's a stable stone. It really doesn't move very much. And then I cover the stone with some old Levi's that are folded. Obviously, if you're using a leather pad, well, that would be more accurate from an ethnographic perspective. But I don't have leather, so I have these old Levi's. And I put the Levi's on the anvil stone to minimize the hard contact. And it's just something you get a feel for, dealing with hard contact. And here's my core. Well, it's already been flaked somewhat. And here are two flakes from the core. Okay, there's two flakes. And that's the original surface. You can see it has a thin layer of cortex. And this core, I sit on top of the anvil, and the area that I want to flake, I allow it to overhang the side of the anvil. So for example, here, we removed this flake already. Okay, so that's one flake. And then here we have a second flake. Okay, that's another flake. And this is probably about almost 2 inches thick on the thicker portion, and it has a bit of inclusions in the center. You can actually see here more of the inclusions. And the outer periphery is actually the better stone, the flint. And this is my hammer stone. That's the hammer stone that I use. It's actually a chart nodule that's covered with cortex, a thicker layer. And what I do, we'll use this flake as an example, is I hold the stone with one hand so that it's pivoting, and then I find a nice area to strike, which would be a rounded area such as this area. And the first thing I want to do is I want to give it some light taps to feel what happens, or what will happen during impact. And these taps help me ascertain how stable or unstable the stone is. So, and I get a pretty big bulb there, but I might be able to get another flake off of here. Let's see. Okay. Maybe. We'll see. Okay. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, there's the flake. It's about the size of, I don't know, almost the size of a dinner plate. Okay, so that's flake number 3, and here's flake number 2, and here's flake number 1. This flake's a little bit thicker there, you can see. And now you're probably wondering, well, why, what does the anvil actually do? So, this is probably about, I don't know, close to 10 inches long. So you're probably wondering, what does the anvil do? So I think I can explain. Here you can see how flat this face is. But if, let's say, for example, if this stone were to be just sitting directly on the ground, I hope you can see the bottom, and if I were to strike down on the stone, then the resistance of the earth is going to adversely affect the the the, the break. Um, and so by using this anvil stone, and then covering the anvil stone, uh, what I get here is an overhang. So now the support is no longer directly underneath where I'm striking down. The support now is actually behind that area. So now when I strike down, I have force pulling this way, obviously, and I'm holding the other side of the stone with hand pressure, and we have an overhang. So what happens is we're kind of pulling the end of the stone off the stone, and because there's nothing directly underneath, we don't have the direct opposition of the ground. So you can create more of a pulling effect. So that's how, making larger flakes like this, that's how you can use a small anvil to create the larger flakes. And this, if you're spalling stone, if you have a large stone and you want to spall it, then by employing the bipolar techniques, you can actually cause the flakes the breaks to run farther than if you just were to strike directly on the stone, or if you were to hold the stone freehand and strike it. By using the bipolar technique, we actually can control and influence how the break carries. And aside from the break, I mean, here you can actually see, here's the bulb of percussion right there. And it is bulbed, and then here you have this kind of swell, and then it curves back out. And here on the bottom you can see that the break carried through, straight through the bottom and came out. And so what happens is you can influence how this break terminates. In other words, here at the bulb, the break initiates, and then because of the way that the anvil is used to offset the support, so you don't have support directly under the edge, you create a pulling effect. So when that break is, carrying through the stone, that pulling effect causes it to run farther, at least in my opinion, and also causes it to exit the other side as it did there. You can see it's a very sharp, there's a very sharp edge. I mean, the edge is over an inch thick, but here you can see a sharp edge. And anyway, that's a large flake created with the bipolar technique, which also you could carry on in different scales. For example, obviously this stone is large, and because of the size, it's good for larger nodules like this. This is a really heavy nodule. This is a gigantic. And the thing about this is that I'm kind of creating a balance between, for example, that's a large flake, but look how big the core is. This is a big core. So this core is not going to be very prone to movement as much as maybe a smaller core. So if you compare actually, for example, the size of the flake to the core, well, you have a big flake, but I have a really big core. I mean, I don't know what the ratio is weight-wise, but, we have a big core, we have a big hammer stone, we have a big anvil, and we create a big flake. And of course, you can do this on a very small scale. And really, if we had two people, I mean, I'm just one person, but this could be created on a very large scale while using like a grapefruit size hammer stone, or a hammer stone. Well, this is bigger than a grapefruit. I don't know, maybe a cantaloupe size, maybe a watermelon size hammer stone, held by two hands and someone else holding a core, and then using some type of anvil underneath to cause that break to run with the pull on the outside and without having direct resistance from from underneath the brake. And that if you have resistance underneath the brake pushing up and you hit down, you really don't get a good brake. But by offsetting the support and balancing out the core weight and what the flake is going to be, and then striking, we initiate a brake with a direct percussion, but that offset support creates a pulling effect between the core and flake. So anyway, that's a lot of words, and that's it for this video. Someone asked to see my technique, so this is one of them, and that's all.